We open on a house in the quiet fog of night. Howling is heard in the distance as a mystery machine rattles along the road. What awaits this house for our heroes? Let's see. Welcome to Mysteries in the Machine.
Hey yo, meddling kids! I'm Charlie.
And I'm Ethan.
And oh look, the back of Mystery Machine is opening up. We have someone here with us with a very spooky vibe.
Ooh, hello, I'm Darien. I'm here.
Darren, I see
Hello,
you've come dressed for the
Darien.
occasion.
I did. You didn't even see the candy corn skirt that I'm wearing.
Amazing.
It's got a cat. It's a tarot card of the moon that's got a black cat on my sweater sitting on a crescent moon.
Like, I'm not sure I know anyone spoopier than Darien. Literally the spookiest person.
I try very hard.
They're doing a fantastic job of being spoopy.
And well, I feel like I'm here for the spookiest episode of the Scooby-Doo movies.
True.
I would agree.
I think so. I mean, I haven't seen every single episode here, but, you know, based on the
guests.
Yeah, the titular guest of the episode, yeah, it seems like the spookiest, probably.
But maybe the Harlem Globetrotters will give this one a run for their money. But I don't think Sonny and Cher are going to beat it.
Probably not. Though, Speed Buggy, we'll see what happens when it comes to that.
There's the Batman and Robin one too, so, you know.
That was maybe last episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not so much spoopy as there is clowning, just straight up clownery.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Absolutely. Well, Darien, we would love for you to introduce yourself, give us your pronouns, and tell us what your history is with, like, this series, and especially this episode, because you asked for this episode in particular.
Yes, Darien, she, they. I think a lifelong Scooby-Doo fan, just in general, like, grew up watching Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? We had a VHS, like, a cassette of, like, 5 episodes that my brothers and I would watch. Do y'all know the behind the music type, behind the scenes Scooby-Doo feature that was on the VHS?
No.
I'm afraid not.
I don't have a VHS of this.
I had the DVDs.
Scooby-Doo behind the... I think it was it behind the scenes? What was it called? It was like a filmed like it was the like an actual, like, MTV style, we're gonna interview Scooby-Doo behind the scenes. It aired on Cartoon Network in 98. And
Amazing.
We had this on, and it was literally just like a kind of documentary of them just interviewing the cast members or the characters of Scooby-Doo. It would air during the commercial breaks in the 25 hours of Scooby-Doo Marathon in 98. And then we had it on the VHS. And maybe we had it on the VHS because my mom maybe actually just filmed this from the TV. I'm not sure now. The one I clearly remember from that is the gang dunking on Fred's ascot. And it's very good. And and a really cute home video of little Daphne with her mom being like, "Hi, sweetheart, what are you gonna be when you grow up?" "I'm gonna be a fashion model." "Aw." "Or a detective." Oh. It's like so good.
You said it was from what year? 98?
98 is what was popping up here.
Is it called Those Meddling Kids?
I saw that. The one I found is like Those Meddling Kids or Scooby-Doo : Behind the Scenes.
Okay, I'm like, it is. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that is because this definitely sounds like something I've like looked up, maybe, but I haven't seen it.
But yeah, it's a super fun one. It's very silly, and it just like them sitting on a couch being interviewed like documentary style. It's super cool. And then on the opposite end of that vibe spectrum is the Blair Witch parody
I
that
have seen
Yeah.
that.
and that's scary as fuck.
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo
But
project.
yeah,
I've seen
no
bits
dice
of
on that
it.
one. Yeah, that one's a hard
Yeah.
pass for me, but the behind the scenes is good. And then one more little childhood tidbit from the 30-year-old. In those commercials that Cartoon Network used to air, where all of the cartoon characters just lived together in a city and you would just see them interacting in city things, there was one where Fred Flintstone in the Flintstones rock car and some other characters were trying to find a parking spot at a mall, and there's one open spot, and they're gonna race Speed Racer, and in the passenger seat of the Mach 5 is Scooby-Doo. And it was delightful and
Amazing.
charming. So I'm just a fan of
Wow.
Scooby-Doo. Watched it a lot growing up. Would wake up early before school in elementary school so I would have time to watch A Pup Named Scooby-Doo on Boomerang before
Yeah.
we need
Yeah.
to. I love A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I would argue maybe not the best Scooby-Doo theme song, but top 3 at the very least. I think What's New
Mm.
Scooby-Doo may be the best theme song, but
I would tend to agree with that, actually.
Pup
Yeah.
Named Scooby-Doo is very fun, very weird and poppy. But yeah, and on this one, another Boomerang thank you. We had Boomerang growing up, the Scooby-Doo movies would air, and this one I feel like I saw a lot. This was my introduction to the Addams Family, was this cartoon appearance. And yeah, so I like Scooby-Doo, so I was like, can I have this one? Because this is the one. I saw others. I remember like the Harlem Globetrotters one probably more than this one, but this one I
Yeah.
distinctly remember as being like my favorite. And there's a line Shaggy has that has just lived rent-free in my head forever.
Oh, I love
We'll
that.
get to it.
Well, you'll definitely get to
That's
that.
that's me with so many Shaggy lines, but I just vibe with him so much.
It's got the best lines.
The Bat Milk from the last episode has lived in my head rent free.
Oh my god. But before we move too far away from mentioning the theme song, I'm sure y'all have already discussed it at length in the first episode covering the series. I would just like to, given this opportunity, to just put forth my complaint with the theme song and
Ooh.
the fact that they use the same take of Scooby saying "over here" both times, even though Scooby is giving off a completely different vibe the second time.
Yeah.
The first time
Yeah.
he's visibly scary, so that take of his voice trembling, it works. But the second time he's happy, he's eating a sandwich, and yet they use the same exact voice line from when he was
Mm.
upset, and you can hear it. He still sounds distressed, even though he's not. And that's just bothered me ever since I was like 6.
What did Robert say? Their budget was 2 paper clips and a ham sandwich, but
Yes.
stretched over a longer period of time.
I mean, yeah, I know why they did it. That doesn't mean I like it or have tolerated it. That doesn't let them off the hook.
Well, no.
I mean, I was gonna mention that this time watching it, so far that I've been watching the series, I've been watching it on DVDs that I have, because I have
Nice.
like a disc set called like the best of the new Scooby-Doo movies. And this
Ooh.
is the first time I'm watching it on Max, because, hey look, this episode is finally on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, crazy. And I finally got to see a different intro. Like, the music's all the
Oh.
same.
Mhm.
But this time I got to see all of the guests as part of the intro. They were
Yeah.
not previously.
Really?
No.
That's
At least for the episodes we covered so far.
Yeah, no, because
Okay.
the intro is exactly the one on Max that I watched that version too. That's exactly the intro I remember from seeing it as a kid on Boomerang. So that's so interesting that they have a different one for the DVDs. Maybe it's because they like couldn't have certain figures in the
Yeah.
DVD sets. They're, like,
I was gonna
licensing.
say, it might be because of, like, especially the licensing with this episode. So, yeah, I was gonna say, from what I know of this episode, but until, like, the past month, this episode was not available on streaming or, like, on DVDs or any sort of, like, release.
Yeah, it was almost like
Because of-
lost media, which I'm glad that we were able to do it.
But they couldn't
had
come
no
to a
idea.
settlement with the Addams,
Estate,
like,
whoever owns the rights.
yeah.
I think it's like,
whoever owns the rights.
yeah, I actually have that right here. My deep dive was finding all of the Addams Family stuff for these episodes because I was like, or for this episode because I was just like, I need to go on a Wikipedia deep dive. I am so interested. The rights are currently held by Amazon MGM Studios via MGM Metro Goldwyn Mayer, who owned the multimedia rights. And
Okay.
then T and Charles Addams Foundation owns the rights to all of the merchandise. So MGM and Amazon actually own the rights to the Addams Family, which is probably why we haven't gotten it in so long. And they just settled to let Max, who owns the Scooby-Doo stuff, put this episode. What good timing. Oh, yay.
Yeah, literally as far as I can tell, every single possible episode of Scooby-Doo is on streaming on Max right now. So, like, plug for Max, the only time I'll probably ever plug them.
Yeah.
Because they, always take stuff off. But
you know what's not on Max now? Over the Garden Wall. It's the 10th anniversary.
Stupid.
It was.
It's on Hulu.
I know it was in the past.
It's on Hulu.
Hulu has it.
Hulu.
Well, that's wild. Well,
I go to Hulu for it every year.
I know Max took it off a couple years ago. Didn't lose rights, but specifically.
Cartoon Network is doing a short for the 10-year anniversary the first weekend in November.
Yeah. I'm really excited.
I saw that earlier today.
I'm watching it with my friend Kelsey. She's never seen it before, and I'm like, "Oh, hon, you got to see these spooky fall vibes." And
I watched it in college.
Weird. Yeah, I watched it in college. Yeah, she's just like, "It's kind of weird." I'm like, "Yes, it's weird. We haven't gotten to the thing that makes it. Oh shoot, this is what this is yet. You're just vibe setting. Wait for it. You'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get to the trauma.
Yeah,
it's great. It's fine. It's good."
It's great. It's Over the Garden Wall. It's Americana folklore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With Elijah Wood as the main character, which surprised me the first time I saw it.
Yeah, if you want to be mad at Max, I'd be mad at them for Infinity Train specifically.
Infinity Train.
Dude.
Never gonna get over. Absolutely needless. Absolutely unnecessary. Just serves so they don't have to pay into the health insurance of the people that made this show. Is absolutely evil.
Yeah.
Zasloff. Right, let's talk about Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, let's talk about happier things. So Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
Hey, yo. Like I said, we have the different intro, at least for me and Ethan, apparently. Yeah. And then, hey, look, the gang is, once again, getting freaking lost. As they fucking do. So often.
That might be the premise of, every one of these. I'm not sure, but it feels like.
I feel like in this series, the gang has no agency into the mysteries they come across.
I mean,
none whatsoever.
Here, none.
I think you already put that on the potential bingo card, but getting people lost, that's just every single time. So they're in a creepy situation. There's fog, and of course, Shaggy and Scooby. This is already our first shenanigan. They're getting so scared that they go under the seats. And go into the front seat of the Mystery Machine.
That one is super funny. I love Scooby does it first, and so then it's just Shaggy in the back, and then Shaggy does it, and then when he pops up, he's like, "It was lonely back there." And that genuinely made me laugh. Casey Kasem's delivery was just very good.
Are we going to count Scooby covering Fred's eyes as he swerves off the road a shenanigan? Or is that just dangerous?
That's just dangerous. I think I just count the under the seats as one whole thing there.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have our second car accident that we've had in the past 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Someone needs to take away Fred's driver's license. Okay, it is kind of Scooby's fault this time. He physically covers Fred's eyes.
Yeah.
To be fair, the last time, it was also somebody else being a reckless driver and almost, literally driving them off the road. So,
yeah.
It's not really Fred's fault either time.
Okay. Yeah, all right. We'll let Fred off the hook this time.
I don't doubt he won't do it again. So, the car's in a ditch, and they meet a strange couple who are, driving in the opposite direction away from a creepy house.
Yeah.
The creepy house looks familiar. It's almost like we've seen it on TV before.
As everyone keeps mentioning, the creepy house looks really familiar.
Though, Darien, we went over this last season. Scooby-Doo said Superman in one of the episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because Warner Bros. Has owned the rights to DC since 1968.
Cool.
So I assume they had rights to the Addams Family. So now canonically, they all exist in the same universe together. This whole multimedia universe, and it's beautiful.
I think it's like also like Hanna-Barbera was just churning out cartoons of like a ton of stuff. So even if they didn't necessarily like own the rights, they still were probably making a cartoon of it. So like, yeah, I guess did own the rights to that to also just be like, yeah, like I don't know who made the old Superman cartoon, but I wouldn't be surprised if I Googled it just now and found out it was Hanna-Barbera. Let's see who owned the old
Hanna-Barbera was just like throwing darts at a board and being like, is this show gonna stick? Is this show gonna stick? They got Scooby-Doo. So what else matters?
Nope, they did not make the 40s animated Scooby Superman.
No, I didn't think they did.
No, that was a lot older than I thought it was. It was a Max Fleischer cartoon, Superman in Technicolor.
Wow. But as we're trying to get the Mystery Machine out of the ditch, one Mr. Lurch approaches them.
And it's like, that's a creepy dude. Shaggy faints.
But before he faints, Lurch says, "Can I help you?" And Shaggy says,
"Yeah.
Yes, you can catch me." And then he faints into Lurch's arms.
How considerate.
Wonderful.
So good.
Beautiful.
So good. So funny.
And as Scooby also did like 2 episodes ago, he like digs into the dirt to get away from the spookiness of this one dude. I would count Scooby digging once again as a shenanigan, because
it's going on the count.
Because then Lurch also like plays into it and pulls his tail to pull him when he's like
by the collar.
Oh, he grabbed him by the collar. Okay.
I thought he was going to grab him by the tail, but Lurch is too polite for that. He would never grab a dog by the tail. He just grabs Scooby by the collar and holds him up by the scruff.
Yeah, but he still like pulls him through the freaking hole in the ground. I love that. And he's like, "You're all coming with us. You're coming with us.
Yep.
We're going up to the creepy house now," which we keep saying is familiar. I think it needs to be like a drinking game for the episode. Every time they say, "This looks familiar. That looks familiar. I know that. That's the Addams Family." Like,
yeah. You could just do that for the whole run of the shows, because they often say, "Hey, I know you. Look, it's the Harlem Globetrotters. Look, it's Sonny and Cher."
I feel like it's almost even more in this episode. Yeah.
Oh, this one's a lot. At one point, Velma says that, the phenomenon of feeling like unfamiliar place, like you visited an unfamiliar place before, that's called deja vu. And I wrote down, that's not what deja vu is, Velma. Like, it's not this specific phenomenon of feeling like you visited a new place before. Like, it's feeling like something has happened before. And it could be, this feels like deja vu, but like her saying it is specifically visiting a location, I'm like, why did you say that? That's not what it is, Velma.
Velma's trying to be super smart, but it didn't really work this time.
No, that one was weird.
She's trying to be the smartest one in the room. Most of the time it works. That time it didn't.
That time it did not.
And then we go to the masters of shenaniganery. The Addams Family themselves. In their house.
Where it appears Morticia is knitting a sweater for their pet octopus?
Mm-hmm. That looks right. I was sad we never saw the octopus in the sweater, but...
That is unfortunate. But she's only half done, so...
That's true. And then she had to go on vacation to the Hokey Pokey Okies?
The Okefenokee Swamp, which is a real place.
Thank you. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, they went to Florida?
Yep.
Very
But not the beach. Not Disney. The swamp.
Like, why did they go to Florida?
Because they're the Addamses. Of course Morticia and Gomez are going to go to a swamp in Florida for their, like, romantic getaway.
Yeah.
I will say, they make Wednesday look less creepy than in this iteration than she has in others.
Yes. She's wearing pink. It's like it's her same Wednesday Addams outfit, but it's pink instead of black. And she looks very much like a Charlie Brown character, the way her
face. I was wondering what it reminded me of, but it's the Peanuts.
They have like very specific designs in this like episode that I'm like, okay, this isn't quite how I expected you guys to look for like them in cartoon form. Because I mean, they've been in cartoon form. They were literally cartoons before.
No. Oh, well, they were the comic strip. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, they were the comics.
They came with the cartoon. Yeah, in the New Yorker. Yeah, they were the cartoon. I thought you meant animated, and I was like, no, the animated series came later.
No, they weren't animated, but they were literally cartoons in a form.
I think it's interesting because like they all look like the live action actors. Like the designs of everybody else look like, from Morticia's dress to like everyone else, but except for Wednesday. And I think it's for the joke where Morticia says Wednesday is growing up to be such a happy young girl. Oh, where did I go wrong? Where did we go wrong? And Gomez says, don't worry, Tish, there's still Pugsley. So, like, the joke of the Addams family would be so, like, heartbroken that their child is happy and well-adjusted. Like, we have failed as parents.
Here's my thing with the Addams family. They inadvertently created the perfect role model for couples.
Yeah.
When they didn't want to. Like, a lot of humor at the time they were made was like, I hate my wife, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But
like
Gomez and Morticia...
why I oughta.
Right. But Gomez and Morticia Addams is like one of the best examples of a couple in media that I know of. I almost said straight couple, but they are not straight. Neither one of them is. They are bi for bi.
This is a straight passing couple, but the Addamses are not as straight. In fact, I feel like the Addams family also, like, I think queer folks really like the Addams family because they are a family that inherently supports everybody's weirdness. Like, whatever it is, they're so, like, excited. Like, this joke of her being upset that Wednesday's so normal, like, it kind of hits wrong for the Addams' all value. I think it'd be more just like, I feel like I can't relate to her. Not, oh no, we failed as parents. Just like, I don't know how to relate to my child. But like, everything that the kids are into, everything they want to do, everything each other wants to do, they are all so like gung-ho and supportive of. So it's like this dream true supportive like family.
Yeah. It's like, how did you make like the best family ever? And they're supposed to be like the opposite of what we're supposed to want as a society.
That's because society's broken.
Well, because like Gomez loves Morticia so intensely.
Yeah.
I want to be Gomez Addams when I grow up.
It's so good.
Gomez is a golden retriever husband.
Correct.
He's a golden retriever husband in a black cat's body.
Seriously.
And Morticia is just a black cat that happens to be very sweet.
Yes.
Okay. I am looking at the designs for the TV show, and it does look like they're basically the same for the TV show.
This is a thing I think later, but I think it's a cool thing to talk about right now, is that the voice actors for all of the Addamses, except for Wednesday and Pugsley, are the same as the actors who portrayed them in the sitcom. Like, they
amazing.
all came and did that. I thought that was very cool. And the only reason Wednesday and Pugsley are different is because the actors who played them in the sitcom were teenagers. So their voices sounded completely different and they couldn't still do the role. So they just had, like, Jodie Foster was Pugsley and then another, like, voice actress did Wednesday.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Excuse me, Jodie Foster?
Just fucking Jodie Foster.
John Astin is Gomez Addams, yeah.
I mean, that's fair, but he was Gomez before this.
Yeah, he was Gomez.
So, like, people knew that.
But yeah, Jodie Foster is just the voice of Pugsley.
Wild. Well, you gotta start somewhere.
Speaking of Pugsley, he was trying to dig his way to China through his sandbox in the house.
Yeah.
And he's been missing for 3 days. They just noticed.
I love that so much, though.
It's so funny.
Oh, boy. And then I was texting Charlie about this earlier. We get our brief glimpse of racism in this episode.
Hey, it's better than a lot of other episodes of Scooby-Doo.
Like, the 70s,
better than Decoy.
This one is...
It's better than Decoy for a Dog Napper, which is one of the episodes from last season, which would not leave us alone.
I heard on the Phantom episode I listened to from y'all. I was like, oh damn, this episode must have really sucked. It
was terrible. Lots of like anti-Native American racism.
Big yikes.
It was terrible.
Yep. I do like the gag of this kid from China popping up, and he's like, "Hey, Pugsley, what's up?" And him being like, "Sorry," the kid's name is Ling Poo, which is like, "Okay, gang, we didn't have to."
Right.
Being like, "Sorry, my dad said we can't play right now." "Okay, Pugsley, I'll catch up with you later." And so, like, that is a funny gag. It is Casey Kasem doing the kid's voice.
Right.
I will give them credit for it's not an atrocious Aristocats Siamese cat accent. It does just sound like them doing a kid voice rather than trying to do a, quote, Chinese voice.
Yeah, we have already had Casey Kasem do that in a previous episode last season. So
that was,
not the most
another one
atrocious
that we
thing,
did
just
not
the name.
enjoy.
No.
Just the name was could have just been left out.
Yeah. Or Ling. It's like, it's a
or
pretty
Lee.
standard.
There's like a million Lees.
Lee, there's like a million Lees. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right?
There you go.
Anyone else, like, it's really the name, but everything else, it's like, I do think it's a good shenanigan, I would say. I think it's a good shenanigan.
Is that going on the count, Charlie?
Oh yeah, okay. Absolutely. I also would count Gomez going up the wall because he's upset
we didn't
that
talk
he can't
about
go
that.
on his vacation.
Because the housekeepers just ran out on him, and he's like, "It just drives me up the wall, Tish."
And down it too.
That's so funny. I love that.
It's amazing.
That's good. That's something I might use.
Yeah.
Like in my daily vernacular.
Drives me up the wall and down it too. Yeah, it's very good.
So
we find out. Oh, sorry, Charlie. It's your show. You go on.
I mean, you want to narrate my show? Go ahead, go for it.
No, that's not what I hear. Mostly, I'm just okay. Here's this thing. So Lurch, we find out, was getting them to be the new housekeepers. So he brings them all in.
Yes.
Gomez and Morticia are so excited. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the Addams family!" And they introduce themselves. It's like, "I'm Gomez Addams," and Morticia introduces herself as Mortissa. Like with an S instead of the sh sound. And I was like, that's weird. And that's when I double checked. I'm like, this is the actress who played Morticia in the show. Did she refer to herself as Mortissa in the show?
That may have just been a direction thing.
Yeah. And Gomez calls her Morticia.
Yeah, he calls her Tish for short.
Yeah, he keeps calling her Tish. So, not Tiss. That just clocked my ear as very weird.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, well, let me just I need to address this. Acknowledge this was weird. Okay, Charlie, take back over.
Well, then we literally run into another shenanigan where Shaggy does not want to go inside the house with Lurch.
Mm-hmm.
And he like goes up a pole and is like, that looks creepy. Runs into the house and runs into like the arms of this statue that they have in their house. That has like 6 arms. It's like it looks like a Buddhist statue of some or a Hindu statue of some kind.
It looks like Vishnu from Hindu mythology.
They call it something. It has a name. I didn't catch what it was because they only said it the once. I meant to double back, but
no idea.
But the Addamses have such like an eclectic collection in their home that it would totally track if they had a statue of Vishnu in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they say that's the Balinese way of saying hello, as he's like, grabbing onto Shaggy and hugging him so tightly.
So it's supposed to be like a Bali statue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But no, that totally makes sense for the Addams family to have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we get introduced to the entire family, literally everybody.
Everybody's here.
They're the new housekeepers. We don't need any references from them. We don't need anything, any paperwork.
Lurch is their reference.
Literally, like, we grabbed them off the street, and now we are going to leave our children with them for a weekend while we leave immediately.
And what it reveals to us is that Gomez and Morticia do not trust the other members of the family. Like, Grandma Lurch, Thing, and Cousin It are not trusted to watch the kids. I mean, obviously Fester is not going to watch the kids, but like, Thing
you think Grandma would?
Yeah, I mean, but clearly they don't trust. I very least think Thing and Lurch have this on lockdown. Cousin It's barely here, so I get that. But Thing and Lurch have this whole house on lock.
Right. Okay, Darien, as the resident Addams Family expert on this call, I want to run something past you.
That
did thing being a disembodied hand that runs around on the ground, is that like a movie thing that is carried over into the modern day? Or was he a hand in a box in the original sitcom?
I'm pretty sure he was a hand in the box in the original sitcom. Hold on. Let me yeah, I think he's I'm looking at one of the old comics. I don't know if he's from the comics is the thing, but I bet he is. Wait, what is that? Is that thing in the background? Expert, I would if a real Addams Family expert is listening, please understand that Ethan was just being nice. Ethan was just being
They're the one who knows the
said,
most about the Addams Family
like,
of the three of us here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
I mean, like, he has a box. I know he comes out of a box, but also, like,
okay.
No,
he's from the cartoon. He's from the original comics. He was introduced in 54.
Okay.
Who was initially just Thing, and then eventually became the disembodied hand. But yeah, he's just a disembodied hand that's sometimes in a box to help with, not having to pay to try to figure out how to get a disembodied hand to run around. If you just have a hand coming out of the box, you got the guy in the underneath where the box is at, and you just got an Audrey 2 situation going on. So it works.
Well, because my first exposure to the Addams Family was the like mid 90s movie.
Yeah, the Addams Family and Addams Family Values.
Yes. So in that, Thing is a disembodied hand that crawls around on the ground.
Yeah, he's
not in a box.
Yeah, I think he probably appeared in a box a lot to help with the 60s TV show budget.
Sure.
It's just interesting that they brought that into the cartoon.
Yeah, they didn't need to do that.
Family. He's a member of the family.
No. They didn't need to put him in the box.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I wonder if maybe he was never out of the box until the... Is that what you meant? That maybe until the movie?
That's what I meant, yeah. Like, did the disembodied hand crawling on the ground happen in the movie because they had a higher budget instead of him being an arm in a box?
I wish I knew. That's a very interesting Addams fun fact that I do wish I could say, but I'm afraid I don't know. And to make up for that, I would like to share a new Addams fun fact to hopefully make up for me not knowing the Thing lore. They didn't have names in the comic.
Really?
None of the characters had names. It was like just a single panel of them doing weird shit. Morticia and Wednesday actually got their names in 62, where there was like licensed dolls released for them. And then Gomez and Pugsley and everyone else got names in the sitcom a year later or 2 years later. But yeah.
I did not know they started as a New Yorker cartoon. I only knew about the sitcom, the movies, and this.
Yeah, I knew it started as a cartoon because, like, that's the original like Charles Addams thing, right?
Yeah, he was the creator of the cartoon. It's cute. Yeah, they're just New Yorker comic strips by Charles Addams, and it's just this weird family, and they're great, and they love each other, and that's great.
Very good. Anyway, tangents aside.
Tangents aside, we have Thing, we have Cousin It, we have Uncle Fester, we have Grandmama, and she's the one who was listening to the weird howling noise. It was not actually a werewolf of some kind.
They thought it was her hi-fi.
Very interesting.
Howling hi-fi for spooky old ladies to enjoy in the rocking chairs.
And Grandmama is like the girl at the desk instead of
lo-fi girl.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That would be so good. Oh my god.
People, get on this. There you go.
That howling loop. This is awful howling loop.
Or like 1 hour of howling interrupted by various horror movie sound effects.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah. Grandmama would.
So the gang is like, is this it? Are we now doing this job? And Shaggy's like, no way I'm staying in this house and being a housekeeper, and this is creepy. No way. I'm gonna go talk to Lurch and tell him no. And he opens the door and he's like, Lurch, I have something to tell you. Where do you keep the guest towels?
Is that a shenanigan?
I don't think so. It's not quite a visual gag, but...
No, it's just funny.
It made me laugh.
It's just great. That line is gonna live in my brain rent-free forever, I think.
Yeah. It's so good.
Do they always drive a hearse, or is that just me? I don't remember them doing that.
I think they always do.
Okay,
it feels like
sense.
something they would always do. In the animated series, they're not at their house. They're in a spooky Victorian RV traveling around.
What?
I know! It's wild.
Truly. Weird. Alright, well, Gomez and Morticia leave and wait, and Thing literally waves them off. Goodbye!
Goodbye! I love
Making
Thing.
Scooby faint.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Listen, if you've never been around a disembodied hand, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's upsetting. But I still
mean,
love him.
There's so many things in this episode that I'm like, I feel like their spookiness, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? But like the amount of spookiness that they can handle has been upped based on this episode.
Yeah, they are in the Addams Family house.
They should be fainting right and left based on like every other episode of the show.
Yeah, the premise that it introduces with the fact that they have seen the Addams Family, like Fred says, I've seen them on TV, which suggests that what they're talking about is the Addams Family sitcom. Which would mean that if we're here at the house that makes it a real house, that makes the sitcom in the Scooby-Doo movies universe not a sitcom, but a documentary series about this family.
Yes.
And that goes the same with the fact that Batman and Robin are real actual vigilante heroes that they know about, that the Harlem Globetrotters, a real basketball team, they are also in this universe, and like Sonny and Cher, real world entertainers, Don Knotts, real man, also in this universe alongside the fictional characters who in this universe are also real.
Yeah, Jonathan Winters, real comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Speed Buggy, cartoon character.
Yes, but it's all real.
Everything is real.
Hold on. Where are the cameras?
Cartoons are real, like the American cartoons.
Yes. Who's filming the Addams Family documentary?
That's the real question of the episode, is who is filming them?
Yeah,
I would like to think it's Thing, at least for some of the time.
That makes sense. I mean, Gomez would be delighted to have people in. I don't think Gomez could do a documentary. He'd want to interact with the camera crew too often.
Yeah, he'd be such a welcoming host. He'd be like, sit down, take a load off. Here, I'll get you some food.
Yeah.
Don't do your job. Just relax. You're here. You're in my house.
You're my guests.
I'm imagining now an Addams Family like show that is like What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes. God, the queers are quaking in their boots at the thought of that. It's me. I'm the queers.
I'm the queers. I think I'm, in fact, the queers you'll find.
Ooh,
it says queer all
I love that.
Amazing.
I love all of the pride flags that are on it. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we sit down for dinner with the family with bread that we literally cannot break because it's a rock.
Mm-hmm.
The table can just, like, fly up if you bang it, apparently.
It thinks you're doing a seance, so it's doing its job.
Yeah, this is normal.
Why not?
This is fine. Mm-hmm. And then we have the plant.
Oh, I
Cleopatra.
love Cleopatra.
Wait, before we get to that, Grandmama's favorite dish, sudden fried chicken. That was just funny to me.
Sudden fried chicken? What is the actual?
Kentucky Fried Chicken is what they're is what they're riffing on.
Okay, thank you. That is very good.
That makes sense.
This show is 97% puns.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
I fucking love puns.
Oh no, it's awesome. I love it. I just forgot how much of it is them writing something just so they could write a pun.
Like,
the episode would be half as long without all the puns.
Oh yeah, that's literally all they did. They were like, we have twice the runtime. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna fill it with dad jokes. That's all that matters.
It's 1972.
What they could have done is they could have also put in the 70s love song chase sequences that they did for the second season of Where Are You? Charlie's favorite thing ever.
That would be very good.
It was only like 8 episodes long, but it was the best part of that season. Okay, so yeah, the plant freaking eats Shaggy's food, so he's like, I'm like eating, but I'm getting more hungry because it's literally biting it off his fork before he can put it in his mouth.
How many shenanigans do you want me to put on the count for Cleopatra? Because she does several things.
I mean, that's a 1, I think. Just Cleopatra in that scene, that's a 1.
Okay.
Then she eats the fork because, you know, she needs more iron in her diet. Like women. As
Yes,
Wednesday
exactly. So funny.
And then, all of a sudden, the lights go out. There's, like, a bird cawing, and Wednesday is missing. It's the title of the episode. It's happened.
She's just gone. And
Dun, dun,
Shaggy's like, I'm
dun.
out. And no, I love this is it. Daphne says, don't you want to see Wednesday again? And Shaggy says, you bet. And I want to live to see Thursday, Friday, and Saturday too. And that's the line that has lived rent free in my head for 2 decades. Literally,
I get it.
anytime
I
think of
understand.
when I think of the day Wednesday, I think I want to live to see Thursday, Friday, and Saturday too. Like, I hear it every time.
Me too. Alright. The gang has now split up and looked for clues. But we split up in a different way today. Instead of our usual smart gang and scared gang, we have Fred and Daphne, and Velma with Shaggy and Scooby.
Fred will start to pull this a lot. I remember this being a thing in later Scooby-Doo productions, where it's like Fred will send Velma off with Scoob and Shag to babysit them so he can hang out with Daphne one-on-one.
He found out he's not as into threesomes as he originally thought.
He found that Velma was actually just a lesbian and not interested in him.
Yeah, that. Let's just, okay, bye.
So, Fred and Daphne come across a piano that just plays by itself. Again, this is like the third gag from the first episode that has been redone.
Right.
In this episode.
I totally thought Thing was gonna be playing the piano, which
Me
I think
too.
leads to thing earlier where you said, hey, is he always in the box or is he ever out of the box until the movies? And so it must be he's always in the box because he's only in the box in the episode. And there's no reason for him not to have been the one playing the piano here.
Right. He should have been there. That should have been him. But also, a piano playing by itself makes sense, as they agree upon.
Yep, nothing is impossible in the Addams house.
Yeah, right? Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby are, like, going down a hallway, their candles go out, and then all of a sudden, when he lights the candle again, there's a suit of armor that's chasing them? Yikes. And then, suddenly it's, like, on the ceiling?
That's so funny. They're running, and Velma's like, is it still chasing us? And Scooby and Shaggy will not look behind. And she's like, ugh, men. So she looks back. Hey, it's gone. And they all stop. Hooray. And then she's like, I just realized why it's no longer behind us. Because it's above us. And I genuinely laughed out loud at it. And then it's floating above them. Like, that was stupid funny.
Yeah.
The writing's definitely better in this series in some respects, I'd say.
The comedic timing, I think, is very strong.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. God, I was, like, trying to figure out what the heck was going on in this episode. Because, like I said, I had not seen it before. I'm like, is the suit of armor not... Is that an Addams Family gag? Or is that, like, not... But I think according to what happens later, it's not part of the household.
Anything that was harming them, essentially, is not part of the household. Anything that was just there is just the house.
Yeah. Which is so interesting.
Yeah.
She'd be like,
so,
oh,
like,
the suit of armor.
Playing itself, that's normal. The suit of armor, the fact that it traces them, not normal. Skeletons in the closet, normal.
Hey, we've all got skeletons in the closet, literal or otherwise.
They're the official family skeletons in the closet, and they're playing the rib cage and like a xylophone, and I also laughed.
Literally.
And that was very funny.
It's beautiful.
And it's not somebody in costume. It's not a puppet. It's not a robot. It's not a Pepper's Ghost effect. Those are real skeletons in the closet. But don't worry about it because we're at the Addams house.
The way that Fred and Daphne just, like, close the door, like, okay, after that happened.
Yeah, they're just like, we don't need to think about this.
It's just one more weird thing that they've dealt with, that's all.
So, did we say how the gang is looking for Wednesday, but to our knowledge, Grandma Lurch, Thing, Cousin It, and Fester and Pugsley not looking for Wednesday?
No one else cares, apparently.
Even though it's very much their circus and their monkeys.
Yeah. I think most of them are just like, oh, Pugsley was gone for 3 days, so he'll probably turn up.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, yeah, Wednesday will be back, I'm not worried. This just happens sometimes. The kids just go missing sometimes.
Yeah, Gomez and Morticia seem to be very hands-off when it comes to their parenting, which, like, compared to some of the parents that I've met, and knew growing up, that's a welcome change.
Yeah. They trust their kids. They'll know they'll be fine.
Yeah, their kids are very independent. And speaking of Mortez.
That's their ship name. It's the ship name. It's the ship name.
Mortez is better than Gomtisha, so definitely Mortez.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of them, they're in Okefenokee Swamp. They're, feeding the alligators. They're playing hopscotch in the quicksands and going fishing for a giant squid. And I love that for Gomez. He's just like, oh, look, it's a giant squid. I got it. It got me. And then he's like, it let me go.
Yeah, he's so sad.
I'm so sad now.
Oh.
Poor Gomez.
Poor Gomez.
He just wanted to have fun with his squid buddy.
I know.
I'm not going to say what I was thinking.
It's okay, they have a pet octopus at home.
True.
Yeah,
true.
it's true. So we go back to their wonderful housekeepers who are running from a flying carpet.
Mm-hmm.
Not the weirdest thing you would see in this household, but also apparently malicious.
It is chasing them.
It is chasing them. This is true. So Fred and Daphne are like, or Fred specifically is like, oh, this is like, you said it's like Alibaba. Okay, so open sesame. And then he opens like a random door.
Yeah.
And they escape.
Okay.
Sure. I mean,
whatever works.
Listen, I would do that if I could do a secret passage opened by a word.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it would definitely be open sesame.
It's good. And this is where you see the skeletons in the closet. I love
Yes.
that especially Fred is like, or both of them are like, let's go in the closet. I wonder what's in here. Wednesday, are you here? And my brain was just like, no, she's not in the closet, guys, obviously.
No, none of the Addamses are in the closet.
No, she's definitely a lesbian.
Skeletons. Yes. Just the skeletons are in the closet.
No, she's the blueprint for the goth lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the next room they find is like Wednesday's pet dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a dragon.
That's
it's not, cool. It has probably not been fed, so they leave.
No. Yep.
I would too.
I'll admit, at this point, there is a gap in my notes from Skeleton in the Closet to where they find Wednesday, because I'll be full cards on the table. I got bored.
Yeah.
I got to, this is going on for too long.
Yeah, the second gag is Pugly's lab, where he apparently turned the mailman into a parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's fireworks, or is that later?
That's later.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the next room they go into. But I would also count the skeleton in the closet as a shenanigan.
It's great.
I'm putting it on.
That's a good shenanigan.
Like, yes. I definitely hit the point where I'm like, these don't need to be movies. Like, this could have just been a regular 23-minute episode. I'm happy. I love the Addams. I've been having a lot of fun. I did hit a point where I was like, I'm done just seeing that here's the new gag, here's the new gag, here's the new gag. Caca.
Right.
Because it got repetitive. It just
got
a little repetitive. Especially because we're seeing the house being weird, but we're not like seeing the Addamses. Like, until we see Grandmama again with Scooby found like some bad soup. But I was a little bit like, I want to see the Addams family. Like, I want to see the Addams family in their house. Like, run into the Addams family.
Well, most people's favorite part of the Addams family are not here right now.
That's true. And so we cut to, which is also weird. We just got rid of Gomez and Morticia. Like, the structure of this episode is odd because I think it like it makes it, the house is interesting for sure. And it's fun to see the Scooby Gang interact with the house. But this could have been any weird weird like mystery house.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be the Addams family because we take the Addams family out of the narrative for most of the story. Like, why, like I said earlier, why didn't the rest of the family help? Like, why didn't we split up a member of the gang and the member of the Addams family? That would have been really funny.
Because in other episodes, the guest stars help them with whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Like the Stooges help them, Batman and Robin help them. In later episodes, other guest stars do that, but
yeah. So it's
very strange.
Yeah, that they're forced into, like, they're not here to help. It's like they're like, and
but I get it.
the start of the episode where they're like, where is this place? I thought they were trying to get to the Addams house, and then I realized, no, they're not. They're just there by accident. It's like, why aren't they visiting the Addams family? Why weren't they invited over for some reason? Like, why isn't there an ongoing mystery that the Addams reached out to have help with? And like, now we get
that
to
could have been
interact
cool.
with the family. Like, that's
Yeah.
what led to me in the middle of the episode kind of going, all right, I'm a little done now, actually. I'm done with this gag because it's one note and you took out the most interesting parts of the Addams family, which is the family. The house is dressing. The family is what makes this fun. And
Right.
like, why aren't we hanging out with
No.
pairing Scooby and cousin It? That would have been so funny.
Right. It would have been great.
I do feel like they were like, okay, we have a large cast of characters with the Addams family, and they already have 5 characters as their mains. So it
Right.
is a lot compared to some other episodes in this series. Granted, it is difficult when we get to like Harlem Globetrotters as well, because that's another like large cast that you have to deal with.
Globetrotters are around. They are constantly helping.
They are.
This one, it's like, what I would have, because the thing is like, yeah, it's a big cast, but you still like, everything that happens, which each, like, they go in and have a gag, they have a gag, they have a gag. Like, the juxtaposition of having a member of Mystery Inc. and a member of the Addamses encountering whatever the gag is would have been funny. And you could have just had, instead of it being Scooby, Shaggy, and Velma encountering 3 things and then Fred and Daphne encountering 3 things, it would have been like paired off. And so we each like pair encounters thing together. And the gag still would have been the gang is surprised. The Addams is like, this is normal. But like, at least we would have had the Addamses around.
Yeah. This episode is certainly lacking in the Addams family in general.
Mm-hmm.
It is creative in other ways that we'll get into later, and I have thoughts on that, which I'm sure you all do too. But
so Fred and Daphne try to escape that room with the animals and go through the floor, and then suddenly they have met up with the rest of the gang, who are still like, we haven't found Wednesday.
Yeah.
Where is she? What's going on? Shaggy tries to play chess with himself.
It's like, okay, man. Why is it Thing here playing chess with Shaggy?
Right, Thing should have been there. But instead the table just goes into
that would have been funny.
Yeah. Even like Fester playing chess with Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The table goes into another room.
It's pretty
because
funny.
It's mad.
Was it losing?
I don't know.
I thought it was winning.
Looked like the game
honestly.
just started.
Yeah, I didn't see any pieces get moved.
And then this like next like 2 seconds, I think is like a TikTok or something that I've seen recently, where it's like, a door, I wonder where it leads. And Fred's like, it's locked, I guess we'll never know. And just like that 2 seconds, I've definitely seen as like some kind of video before.
The official Scooby-Doo TikTok may have posted that at some point.
Yeah, that's honestly hilarious.
They've been posting a lot of clips from old episodes recently.
Yeah, they have. Velma mentions skeleton key, and then Scooby goes through the door, making an imprint of himself, so now we can get through it and see what's there. Maybe we'll find Wednesday here. It's Gomez's room. Yep. They've seen it on TV. Shaggy tries to lie in the bed, and Scooby stops him because, yikes, it's got a bunch of, like, spikes in it.
The bed of nails.
Or needles? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which they're like, oh yeah, that's a thing that Indian holy men do. And apparently also Gomez Addams.
Yeah. And he says, well, I'm sure they are holy.
Yeah.
Oh
and
I was
like,
one
of the good Shaggy jokes.
Very good, very good. So Shaggy tries to give Scooby a Scooby snack, but I guess Bullwinkle from Rocky and Bullwinkle eats it.
Yeah. They just have a moose.
Just a moose's head.
But the moose is alive. It's not just like an alive head. I think it's just a whole moose in there.
It's a full moose in the wall with its head poking out.
Yeah, and he just heads out.
Yeah, which is amazing. Beautiful. The moose can leave whenever it wants to. Although it shouldn't be able to.
It's fine.
It's fine. The moose itself, I call that a shenanigan. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going on the count.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaggy's just like, okay, I'm done with this, guys. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna relax, And he sits on the voodoo doll from earlier that Wednesday was playing with. And this is like the second note saying that the Addams family needs to leave this house. We got one when Wednesday went missing before, and now we got another one. The Addams family are not around, though, so it's just the Scooby Gang getting these notes.
Yeah!
Right.
Which is so weird.
So yeah, we get some sight gags with Scooby and the voodoo doll. They're fine. The mustache is pretty funny. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
The Yosemite Sam mustache on Scooby-Doo was pretty choice.
Is the mustache a shenanigan? I'm led to say no.
The mustache and the sneeze where he destroys the voodoo doll somehow is a shenanigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
there we go.
He gets Wednesday sent off of it, and then we can go and find her now.
Except it's her house. Her scent's going to be everywhere. I'm shocked it just didn't lead them to her bedroom.
Right, but then Scooby finds a big pot of soup.
Soup. Good soup.
Good soup.
Yeah, except as we find out from Grandma Ma 2 seconds later, it's not even frickin' soup. It's bath water for the iguana.
This is the second time in the entire time we've done this podcast where Scooby has tasted what he thought was soup, and it wasn't soup that was being made by an old lady.
Made by an old lady specifically. Okay, I was like, I'm surprised that's only happened twice, but okay, the parameters of an old lady is making a thing that is not soup.
The soup and the subsequent visual gags are a shenanigan, if I've ever seen one, where Scooby's like going to throw up and then ends up on an caged elevator, which I'm pretty sure we've seen in other Addams Family media. I feel like I recall this before.
Yeah, I think so.
And hey, it takes them all the way up to one of the towers where there's a locked door. Velma does some cool little lock picking with her womanly hairpin.
Yeah, which is like, feels like this should have been a Shaggy thing, because I feel like Shaggy has a lot of like weird skills he gets to pop out, like being able to throw his voice and doing disguises, or this should have been a Daphne thing with the hair stuff.
Yeah.
In later series, that would be Daphne.
Yes.
Charlie, have you told Daphne about our headcanon that Shaggy's a bard?
Have I told Daphne?
Darien. Sorry.
I knew what you meant. I got you.
Yeah, no, this is my strongest headcanon ever, is that Shaggy is a bard from D&D. People would be like, oh, he's probably like a beastmaster because he's got a dog companion. Anyone can have a companion. He is a bard. He literally has he throws his voice and does impressions all the time. And yeah, I think he's a bard, and Scooby is the rogue.
Yep.
And that's why they're the best pairing together.
For sure. Okay, hold on. Keep talking. I gotta reference a thing that I really like, but I gotta cite it properly, so.
Okay, great.
All right.
So we find Wednesday in this locked room at the top of this tower, and she's using a live spider as a yo-yo.
Homer! He makes a groovy yo-yo.
I mean,
okay because it's 1972, so they're allowed to say groovy.
Mm-hmm.
Are we not allowed to say groovy anymore?
I say it occasionally.
Oh, no. I meant if this was made in the late 80s, early 90s, then it would be cringe for them to be like, hey, the kids say groovy, but they don't. It's 72, the time when groovy was actually a thing.
True. Very, very true. Although I think it's always fair game for any Scooby-Doo media.
Just because the time it was made, yeah.
That's true. It is always inherently the late 60s. Okay, so I wanted to real quick talk about Scooby being a bard and that Shaggy being a bard, and that kind of assessing the deep character traits of Scooby-Doo. I recommend, I don't know if you've talked about this in a past episode, but if you haven't, y'all should listen to it, and then any Scooby fans should check out on YouTube the user Jello Apocalypse has a video that is which Scooby-Doo character is the best, and the literal card of it, and why is it Fred? And his point is very compelling, but the final the thing he does that I really, really like is that he presents, maybe it's in a different episode, he does a lot of Scooby-Doo stuff, but this person he presents his if he was going to do a Scooby-Doo show, and I think it is this one, because he breaks down the deep archetypes of what makes the best version of each character. and he presents like, this is how I would do a Scooby-Doo show. Like, this would be their characteristics. Like, Shaggy is your buddy that every summer worked at a Ren fair. Like, he's street smart. He's got all these crazy skills. You'd never really know where he learned it. You're a little afraid to ask. Velma is really, she's book smart and she's obsessed with the supernatural. She desperately wants this shit to be real and is always a little bummed out when it's not. Daphne's a little crazy. Like, she's just a little insane. Like, she is ready to play chicken with you in the mystery machine. That's why she's never allowed to drive. She is a dog. And Fred is just a guy. He's just a himbo. This would be the best version of Scooby-Doo. And I'm like, someone give this man money and let him make a Scooby-Doo. I think I'd like it very much. Especially because I'm sick of versions of Velma where she's like super academic and like a bitch about it. And she's just like, well, obviously ghosts.
Yeah.
Then why are you hanging out solving mysteries? Like, why are you even here?
That's like been a thing in more of the recent movies with Velma, especially.
Mystery Incorporated was bad about that.
Darien, this is why we are not covering the Mindy Kaling show that will not be
named. Don't speak its name.
No, it's not even Scooby-Doo. The thing about that one is they didn't want to make Scooby-Doo. They were just pitching some other kind of like teen animated like series, and this network or the studio was like, put Scooby-Doo on it. It needs an IP.
Because apparently that's how you can make money.
Apparently.
That's the only thing they care about.
My brother and I did watch the first season together. Like, we desperately kind of hoped it would get better. And the very last episode, like, started to hit some things that would have been actually kind of fun and then just ruined it at the very end. And we were just like, I'm not watching the second season. And I was like, it's got the Hex Girls. And I'm like, I might watch the second season. And then I saw what they did with the Hex Girl stuff. And I'm like, do you even like Scooby-Doo? Like, why didn't you do Hex Girls right?
No, Charlie, I've seen clips. They make the Hex Girls old and their daughters take over.
And that's like fine. It just is weird because the Mystery Inc. gang are friends with the Hex Girls. They're contemporaries of the Hex Girls. So to have the Hex Girls as like super old, washed up rock stars who still dress in their old attire and are like really sad and pathetic is a bummer. And I just wasn't gonna. I'm not. And I didn't watch the Halloween special, and then it did formally get canceled. So
yes, finally.
And also, I don't want to hear anyone saying, "Well, yeah, you hate watched it. That's why we got more. You're part of the problem." No, HBO Max had already renewed it for a second season before it even aired. So I did not contribute to this at all.
Valid.
I have no blood on my hands in this animation realm.
Whenever we launch some sort of Patreon, pay us $100 a month for many months, and we will do it.
I mean, yeah, get that bread.
I was gonna say I would definitely make it a Patreon goal when we do that eventually.
Here's the thing, though. On on my Muses of Mythology podcast, we have a quarterly Patreon vote, like for our bonus episode topics. Velma was on there twice, never got a vote. No one wanted to hear us. No one even wanted. They knew we didn't like it. No one even wanted to hear us rip it apart. They didn't want anything to do with it.
Can attest. I was a patron. Did not want to hear about it.
No.
The thing is, I watch a guy on YouTube who pretty frequently uploads stuff about Scooby-Doo. I was surprised that Velma had a second season and a Halloween special because I found out about it the day that it aired.
Yeah, Max definitely thought they had a hit on their hands running out and like renewing. But I think that's actually pretty common in animation, like renewing a second season before the first ones have really come out. Like that seems to be like a lot of shit. Like Owl House had that, and then Disney turned around and canceled it for the third season. So like, I don't really know.
Man.
Sorry to bring the mood down. We're talking about Velma, and then we're talking about Owl House. Hey, do y'all want to hear the team up list I came up with for how they should have paired the mystery gang with the Addams Family for this episode?
Oh, you made one of
those? Please tell us.
It did. Okay, so I think this is the one change. I feel like a lot could have been changed about the episode, but so I'm keeping the episode, the plot as it is. The only change is that instead of the gang being the only ones to look for Wednesday, everyone's looking for Wednesday. So Morticia and Gomez are still off doing their own thing. And I think that's fine because Morticia and Gomez are most interesting when they're playing off each other. So you do need to keep them together. So that's fine. I think Fred should be paired with Uncle Fester. Because Fred is like the most straight man you're going to get, and Uncle Fester's a chaos hobgoblin. So that would be very fun.
Correct.
Daphne gets to be paired with cousin It, and they really bond over hair care maintenance.
Yes!
Of course, yes.
Beautiful.
Velma gets paired with Grandmama because I just think Velma's a little bit like, focus, let's focus up, and Grandmama's just a little bit zany, so I thought that would be cute. Shaggy gets paired with Lurch because already their interactions at the top are very good, so we get to keep playing off of that.
Right.
Which leaves Scooby, who is paired with Thing and Pugsley, and Pugsley's carrying the box. Now,
Awesome.
if we take Thing out of the box, then we get to have Thing writing on Scooby, but apparently Thing isn't out of the box yet. So, there it is, and I think that would just be really funny, and they'd be like, Pugsley, you need to go be in your room, like, this is dangerous. And he'd be like, it's not dangerous, I'm with Thing. And then the Addams would be like, you'll be fine. And the Mystery Gang's like, okay, I guess. So that's how we should have split it up and let all of the and then we get Thing reaching into the box. When Scooby gets scared, he reaches into his box and then he goes and he throws Scooby snacks out. So we get to see Thing giving Scooby snacks.
I need that desperately.
Correct.
Why did none of the Addamses get to give Scooby snacks? It's ridiculous.
WB, you need to give Darien money because they have written the episode for you.
Let me just this one. Let me just remake this one episode of Scooby-Doo movies.
Or here's what we do: we grab the cast of Scoob 2020 with the cast of the most recent Addams Family cartoon.
That would
we
be
make
cute.
we make something else. We make it different. Darien's still in charge of it. We can do that too. We just update it a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think that works. I think that's good.
I'll be honest, I didn't like the Addams Family movie. I only saw the first one, but I didn't listen. Pugsley got too much screen time. He was like the emotional crux of this because he was being voiced by Finn Wolf, whatever. And I was just like, I don't care. This is not what Pugsley's purpose is. Like, he is not the emotional heart of the narrative. He's Pugsley.
No, Pugsley's a gremlin. His purpose is to be gremlin.
Just a little gremlin. Right? And they like elevated him to be more of a central core and like sidelined Wednesday a little bit. I just wasn't feeling it.
That's not right. That's not correct.
I was still focusing on Wednesday and her girl bestie. They were friends, you know?
Yeah, that's true. There was that. We could lean into that more.
Close friends, besties, roommates, colleagues, anything but lovers.
Okay, we have 10 minutes left of this episode. Let's talk about it.
Jesus Christ, let's do it.
So, we finally see the actual baddie of the episode.
The Vulture.
The Vulture. Not the Spider-Man villain, a literal vulture.
Who lays
30
an
minutes
egg
into the
on
episode.
them. Yeah, it's also wild is that there's just been these threats, but we haven't actually seen, like, they were chased by the knight and the flying carpet, but honestly, like, until the end of the episode, I didn't connect those two things.
Yeah, this is like the most, like, when I was watching it, I was like, is this a backdoor pilot for an Addams Family thing? Because it's not really that Scooby-Doo mystery-esque. But you brought up some points where it's like, no, it's not even really Addams Family. This is just like, I don't know what they were doing here. Because it's not really very Scooby-Doo, and it's not really very Addams Family, per se. This could have been a better episode. But
yeah, it could have been a better episode.
But it lays an egg, and the egg has the third and final threat to the family to get the fuck out of there. Or else, you know?
Yeah.
So
Shaggy does have a great line where they think it's a bomb, and he says, I can't stand explosions, I go all to pieces.
Right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Shaggy and Scooby bail so hard that they go all the way to the front door where Gomez or Morticia are now back. They're coming back from their vacation.
How long
they weren't even gone a full day.
No, I think it was like an afternoon trip.
Right.
They said a weekend, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they said like a few days.
Yeah, but like...
What?
Has Wednesday been trapped in the attic? We found out she says she was just like, when the lights went out, the chair floated up there and she didn't see anyone. She's been up there with her spider yo-yo friend for 3 days? Like, for a long weekend? A short weekend? Like, I don't know, gang. I don't know.
I'm very confused. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. They get scared because Morticia has an alligator?
An alligator that's also a handbag.
I've never seen a real, an authentic alligator handbag before. And that was very funny.
Okay. I think this is where Halloween Town High stole it from. Because in the third movie, Aggie has her bag replaced, and now it's like a weird, like, alligator leather handbag that grows legs and, like, eats random things.
That's
I'm
very
like,
good. Ugh.
we stole this from the
It's
Addams
very
Family
good.
episode. Definitely.
Okay, Charlie, I'm going to admit something to you right now. I've only seen the first Halloween Town.
You haven't seen Halloween
The
Town
first one
High?
The
No.
first one, I mean, is very good. The first one is peak, but watch the other ones.
Okay.
Watch them.
There's time. There's time.
It's your assignment. You have till the end of October.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
plenty
2
of
weeks.
time.
I can do that.
It's only the 13th as of recording.
As of recording.
I also love this line where Scooby and Shaggy run in and they run into a dinosaur skeleton. And I don't mean into like they run into it and bones fly everywhere. They physically run into the skeleton and are like in the chest cavity of the skeleton. And of course it's moving around like it's alive because it's the Addams house.
Is this where Disney got the idea to put Zazu in the bone cage in The Lion King?
Maybe.
Or is this where they got the night at the museum?
True.
Gomez says that it's the first thing he's had in his stomach in 3 million years. And the thing about that is that doesn't line up. I love it. It's super funny. Doesn't line up. Dinosaurs went extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, which was 65 million years ago, which means something got into this either this dinosaur was alive still 3 million years ago, 63 or 62 million years after all of his brethren went extinct, or someone else has climbed into the dinosaur skeleton, but it hasn't happened in 3 million years.
I think someone else climbed into it.
I was going to point that out, Darien, but thank you for doing that.
Oh. I had to be like, wait, hold on, that math doesn't. I'm just watching a lot of like history of the Earth videos recently on YouTube. They're very fun, and I was like, that timeline, that math 3 million. That's not a big enough number. Hold up,
the math.
I'm just a pedantic bitch.
I'm just a pedantic bitch. Mood.
Good. So yeah, we finally tell the owners of the house, hey, you're being told to leave. And Morticia, as she should be, is playing table tennis with Thing, who's still in the box. Gomez is reading the newspaper while standing on his head. And it's just...
And that's a class. See, that's the thing. That's the class of Addams gag. Like, that's what we haven't had this whole episode, is just more Addams Family being the Addams Family. Like, Gomez standing on his head reading the newspaper. That's classic. That's from the sitcom. Why didn't we have more
That is
of
the
that?
stuff we should have had for, like, the past 30 minutes of the episode. Like, yeah. But also, Morticia gets a hole-in-one because she hits it into the box, and apparently, I guess she wins.
You know,
I just love it.
Everything she does.
Thing's got to fish around in his bag of holding that is the box he's in to get it out.
True. Okay, so I guess we're going in the basement to look for clues. And they make fun of how gross the basement looks, which offends Cousin It, who was the interior decorator, or the eerier decorator, as Velma says.
Yeah, that one was... Listen, there's a lot of goofy puns, and I'll admit that I didn't clock the Kentucky Fried Chicken one earlier. This one was too forced.
Yeah, that was a little weak. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Took me a second to get that.
If they put more emphasis, like if they did interior but put emphasis in the middle instead of the beginning, then sure. But
yeah.
Like interior decorator?
Yeah, interior. That would have been funny.
Yeah. So Scooby and Shaggy are not looking for clues and lounge on the carpet that we previously saw floating. And guess what? It starts floating again.
Yep.
And
it's already on the count, Charlie. Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say, if this ain't a shenanigan, what is?
I don't know
what are we doing here? Because we're flying through the air. Scooby does another sneeze. He's just like sniffly this episode. What's up with that?
Bad allergies, I guess.
Apparently. They nearly fall to their deaths, but it's fine because the carpet is connected to the vulture somehow, which is flying overhead. And anywhere that the vulture flies, the carpet flies. and then it pulls them up like a tractor beam. It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not really buying the plot of this episode.
No, the conclusion just kind of...
It's all over the place.
Yeah. It's a helicopter. The vulture's a helicopter.
How?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I don't
that
know,
old
man. It just
couple
is.
from the beginning of the episode.
I mean, I guess drones didn't exist at this time, so there's no way
Yeah.
they could have had any reference for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird.
But, like, your imagination existed. You could have done anything, I think.
Yeah.
Not this. I mean, it's a Scooby-Doo episode, so who's behind it? That one person we saw at the beginning of the episode and didn't see again.
Yep.
Classic.
Correct.
But before we get there, the Smartt gang breaks into Uncle Fester's laboratory.
Right, yes.
This is the fireworks, Darien, you mentioned earlier.
Thank you. This is the fireworks.
And this is where Shaggy's like, is it the 4th of July already? Because they've set off the fireworks. The fireworks are going everywhere. They've gone through the carpet. The carpet is, like, gone to meet our octopus friend. Hello, octopus. Ah, goodbye. And the fireworks take down the vulture.
That's right. Okay.
But, yeah, it's the people we saw before. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, they're not really housekeepers. They just pretended to take the job so they could hide these highly magnetized steel cubes. And they were in the chair Wednesday was sitting in. They were in the mummy that unraveled. They were in the flying carpet. So they must have been in the night. They were in the night too. So all the things that, like, caused trouble for the gang, that was the vulture. And everything else is just the house.
Yes. And they're like, oh, I guess you can take us away now because we did all this bad shit. And they're like, you know what?
No, hold
have
on.
a different
Charlie. But why did they do all this?
Gentrification. That's why they were doing it.
It's because when they're like, well, we don't like that house. I thought they were going to say something about property values or something like
Me
that.
too.
No, it was because they had to protect the neighborhood children. These old white people decided that this thing that was not in their heteronormative, typical society must be inherently dangerous to children, so we are going to use violence and fear to get rid of it.
Which is why
Sounds familiar.
The Addams Family is just like...
whatever.
Which is why the Addams Family is so important, I'm not gonna lie, because, like, that's often the plot.
Right.
But also, it's like, this is why the queers love them.
Yeah.
True.
But then they're like, you can take us away. And it's like, no. Here's our...
better idea.
Velma has a better idea.
We'll prove to you that they're not actually, like, evil inherently. Or, like, gonna harm the children. Hey, look, the children love the dinosaur bones. The children love the giant octopus. And everything is fine.
Yeah, the dinosaur is a slide that the kids love. The octopus makes a groovy maypole, says Velma. And then the old couple says, you've changed our minds about the Addams Family. And it's like, okay, but you're actually not interacting with the Addams Family.
Exactly. You're just interacting with their stuff and thing. Thing's part of the family, but he's the only part.
Yeah, and they're like, you changed our mind. And I'm like, you kidnapped a child! Yeah, she was still in her own house, but, like...
Nobody knew where she was.
Yeah, she was trapped in the attic without food or water, with only a spider for company for anywhere from up to 3 days to a handful of hours. It's unclear. But still, you kidnapped a child on purpose because the note said that she was gone. It was not like they were just planning on, like, kidnapping Uncle Fester or something. They kidnapped their daughter. But it's fine.
Yeah. Very concerning. But we forgive them, apparently. And now the gang is like, we're not going to be your housekeepers forever. Sorry. We're going to go now. Goodbye.
Yeah. Okay,
we had a good time.
We forgive them. Except the gang forgives them. The Addamses don't. Like, no one talks. But here's the thing. The Addams family totally would. They'd be like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, Gomez and Morticia would be like, all's well that ends well. I'm sure it was just a silly misunderstanding. Like, absolutely they would have forgiven him.
Yeah, they would.
But again, this episode just drops the ball on having the Addams Family. With like contracts with the voice actors, they could only have them for so much time. Like, what was this?
Maybe.
Well, but one of our last shenanigans of the episode, Wednesday holds up a box and she says, Scooby, you forgot one thing. And Thing gives Scooby a pat on the head.
And that's very cute. That's what I'm saying. More Thing and Scooby, please.
More of that.
Gomez, we do get Gomez getting horny when Morticia speaks French.
I love that.
That's one of my favorite gags.
I get it. I'm more of a Spanish guy myself, but
Gomez is Spanish.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I know.
Yeah, he's Spanish.
So he's used to it. French is exotic.
Ooh.
Well, I think the gag in this sitcom is sometimes he thinks it's like Yiddish or other languages. Like, I think the gag from the sitcom is that he doesn't clock that it's French. He just thinks it's very hot when his wife speaks another language.
I get it.
To each their own.
Or it could be that he hears other languages and thinks they are French. I can't remember. But I like, she's like, no, honey, triste now, tryst later. And I'm like, damn, the 70s could be sexy.
Yeah, they could.
Darien, there were shag vans in the 70s, which is what the Mystery Machine is.
His name is Shaggy.
70s have been sexy.
Yeah, but like, we knew that in general. But like, were they allowed to show the sexiness on television often?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Not in children's cartoons.
But when the Addams Family is here, everything's on the table. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Like a married couple who are still into each other.
What's up with that?
Without needing couples therapy.
Yeah, but I'm sure they have. They did that before they got married.
Good for them.
Yeah, they would have.
I'd say, like, Thing patting Scooby, everyone saying goodbye to Scooby is very cute. Like, all of the characters get, like, all the voice actors get to say, goodbye, Scooby-Doo. And, like, that's what I want. I want the guests interacting with Scooby-Doo. Like, that's the point of this.
The most important thing. To send them off, Lurch finally gets the car out of the ditch.
Yeah.
And
apparently the van's rear-wheel drive? I didn't know that.
I don't know, man. We get lost again. And and Shaggy lights one of the fireworks.
Yeah.
To see the map. Why do we have a box of the fireworks? Were we just sent off with that as a present?
It's a thank you gift from Uncle Fester, I'm sure.
He just wanted to be nice.
Yeah, and wouldn't that have been funny to see? Funny to see Uncle Fester handing it to them?
Listen, we could have had them talking about like the freaking fireworks, like the whole episode. It could have been a thing, and then it's like, here, you like them so much, have a box. Like,
yeah,
it could have been so many things. But we've talked about the episode. Ethan, what time is it now?
It's terror time again.
It's time for some trivia.
Trivia.
Hey, yo. So, this episode marked the first animated appearance of the Addams Family, as we've already mentioned. It could be considered a backdoor pilot, as I theorized.
Right.
At least indirectly, to the Hanna-Barbera Addams Family animated series that premiered on NBC September 8th, 1973.
The original live-action sitcom aired on ABC from September 18th, 1964 to September 9th, 1966 for 64 episodes.
They missed 69 episodes by 5.
It is unfortunate. Close. Gomez and Morticia would be very into that specific thing.
I'm sure. 4 of the sitcom's cast members, John Astin, Gomez, Caroline Jones, Morticia, Jackie Coogan, Uncle Fester, and Ted Cassidy, Lurch, provided voices for their characters. Only Coogan and Cassidy returned to reprise their roles in the ensuing animated series, as Astin and Jones were unavailable. They were replaced by Lynn Weinrib and Janet Waldo, respectively.
Yeah. And Wednesday and Pugsley's actors, Lisa Loring and Ken Weatherwax, respectively, were already teenagers at the time the episode aired. They were too old to reprise their roles, so they were replaced by Cindy Henderson and young Jodie Foster.
Crazy!
Which we talked about earlier.
Insane.
And this episode is not carried on the Boomerang streaming service or Tubi TV due to rights issues. R.I.P. Boomerang, you will be missed.
But now it's on Max! Hey!
Hooray!
Because, yeah, I think everything that was on Boomerang is now on Max, actually.
Yeah, it just got kind of folded into it with all the other Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah. And then I guess the cultural reference is the last thing that we got. But there's only one of those.
Yep.
And it's just the fact that the Addams Family is on TV.
Yeah, the Addams Family's on TV. It's a reference to the live-action sitcom, which apparently must have been just real life.
Just like as discussed earlier.
It's like The Office, where it's like a mockumentary.
Yes. Which is why I'm like, what we do in the shadows, but the Addams Family, because it's a mockumentary style. Give me that. I mean, so
I do like that. That one's funny.
Okay. What was our shenanigans for the episode? What's our final count on that?
Count.
We ended with a final count of 19, which puts it in second place thus far, behind the previous episode.
Okay. So we're not doing too bad here.
No, the first episode had the least with 14. Last episode had 23, and this one has 19.
Okay, so this is about the average for each episode. But this is especially what we get to pad out the runtime in this series.
And listen, most of the shenanigans are really good. Like, I do think they're fun. The visual gags are great. Like, the writing is like quippy and on point, and the humor is funny. I think just eventually I got to be like, why am I tired of this? And I appreciate getting to be on to help me break that down. And it's because there wasn't enough Addams Family, and that was a problem.
Absolutely.
We figured out the better episode, and it was just more Addams Family.
Was it just having the Addams Family and the Addams Family episode? Yeah. Wild.
I would also argue it would be a better mystery, personally.
Also a better mystery. Yeah, I remember Wednesday going missing, but like, if I could not have told you before the episode why or for what. Like, yeah, this was a zero stakes, nothing burger of a mystery.
It had so much potential too.
Yeah, it was the Addams Family. Like, weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, super weird that the Addams Family episode is like, there are some really fun shenanigans, but the plot as a whole is like, I don't know, you're lucky the house is cool.
Yeah. So speaking of that, where do we rank this episode out of 5 Scooby snacks? I would take the average of the three of us.
That's gonna be the hard part, is like trying to rate this episode, because like I enjoyed bits of it, but I'm also like, it's definitely weak as an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, especially even as like an episode. I haven't watched a lot of the movie stuff, but based on like what you all have said about like how the guest stars are active participants and the other ones, like that definitely knocks it down for me to confirm that even in this specific thing, like not even looking at the entirety of the Scoob franchise, but just this run of what it is trying to achieve here, I don't feel like it successfully achieves it. Again, like this is the episode I requested to be on, and I'm still only going to give it 2.5 Scooby snacks.
I was going to give it 3, so yeah, that makes sense.
I was going to give it 2, sadly.
2, okay. So 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I was just like, not. I think there was the thing that gets at the half Scooby snack is like there are some really funny gags, and Morticia and Gomez together are always very good, but that doesn't get the full one, because all that does is remind me how much better this would have been if we had more Addams Family. So half a Scooby snack there.
All right.
Yeah. It didn't sell me.
I thought of another childhood Scooby-Doo thing. Of like, this is how much I like Scooby-Doo. Okay, hold on. Wait. What is the snack called? I'm just typing completely incorrectly. Hold on. Okay, so are y'all familiar with the Gardetto's chips?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes dear listeners.
So Charlie, they're the dark chips and Chex Mix.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they have, there's just it's a Chex Mix, but instead of Chex, they have like a slice of rye bread. They have like little crunchy pieces, and they have like pretzels and stuff. So my mom would get them a lot growing up, and I only wanted to eat the pretzels out of them, right? And the bread bits. I didn't like the rye chip because it's like a little bit more pungent, right? It's like not a flavor that young kids are gonna like. So to get me to eat all of them, my mom said, "Oh, but Darien, don't you want a Scooby snack?" Because they do kind of look like what the Scooby snacks look like when they're being tossed to Scoob in like the show.
That's adorable. I love that.
No.
Would you do it for a
right at
Scooby
the end.
snack?
Would you do it for a Scooby snack? And I would, because they were Scooby snacks. But I was a little bit like, why does Scoob like these so much? And this was like little. Like I was 5, I think, when my mom was doing this.
Sure.
Yeah. And see, my brain goes to the like cinnamon graham cracker snack.
Yeah,
Right.
like there
That's
was
where my
an
brain
actual
goes.
Scooby snack. I didn't know about it until I was a lot older. My mom didn't buy that. Or when did it come out?
I think
I
the
feel
early
like-
2000s.
Yeah, those are more recent. Maybe.
Snacks.
So while Darian's looking that up, whose side are we on?
Well, I'm certainly not on the side of people who kidnap children.
Yeah, I'm not on the side of like old white folks who use fear and violence to intimidate folks who don't fit into what their standard of normal is in order to, quote, protect the children.
Right. But we don't have to be on the gang side either, Darien, if you wanted to do something else.
We did do that last episode.
I'm on Morticia and Gomez's side. I just want a vacation. I also couldn't find the date of where these snacks came out, so I gave up on that. But I'm on Morticia and Gomez's side, where apparently I don't trust my family to watch I don't trust my family so much that but I trust Lurch enough to hire strangers to watch my children for me to go on vacation.
I was actually going to agree with that. So I'm glad that you validated my opinion. Charlie, do you agree with us, or do you have something else?
I was going to say I'm on Lurch's side because he's the one who chose the random strangers.
That's pretty good too.
And he chose some pretty good housekeepers, I'm not going to lie.
Did. They went top to bottom to try to find the daughter.
We'll just say we're on the Addams Family side.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
That's another thing that we never get any of the snap.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Rude.
Was it not iconic then? Like, what is this?
I feel like this episode just didn't play enough into it. They did a little bit, but not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough Addams Family. Well, that is our episode for you. So, Darien, can you tell the people where they can find you and your podcasts on the internet?
For sure. So, dear listeners, if you enjoyed my vibe and want more of me, you can find me in a couple different places. If you are a mythology girly, I imagine you're already listening to Of the Eldest Gods, and if you're not, that's super weird. So go do that first. Go listen to Charlie's pod.
Aww.
And if you're like, I like this and I want more, you can also go listen to my podcast, Muses of Mythology. I co-host it with my brother DJ. We talk about how ancient myths have remained part of our modern pop culture story traditions through the lens of Rick Riordan's Camp Half-Blood books. We're currently discussing the Norse myths in the Magnus Chase series. So that's very fun. If you're like, I like the energy, but Of the Eldest Gods is enough for me, Percy Jackson Wise, I totally got you, babe. You can come listen to me and my co-host Lucy Hart talk about The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini and our podcast Eragon and Back Again. And that one is spoiler free. So if you haven't read those books yet, you can still listen to that podcast. We break it down. It is. Sometimes it veers slightly into not. If we get into any spoilers, I cut it out in editing, unless we were talking about how much we love Angela and Murtagh when we first met them, because then it's a little bit like, hey, obviously these are important characters. You're gushing about them too much. And we're like, yes, they're the exception. How much we like Angela. We don't tell you anything about them. We just tell you we love them. So.
Okay, Darien, something you don't know. Charlie has told me about this podcast before, but they thought that it was all spoilers all the time.
Totally fair. A lot of shows are.
I am currently reading The Inheritance Cycle.
Ethan, you should come listen to our show. I think you'd like it.
I know. I'm currently listening to Brissinger right now. I'm about 2/3 of the way through Brissinger.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I read them all growing up. My friend, the co-host Lucy, she's read them all very recently. So we're on we know everything that happens, but on a little different spectrums of like what happens. And she's also read Murtagh, and I haven't. I'm gonna go ahead and wait until we get to it on the podcast to finally read it. But yeah, it's spoiler free. We just talk about, and we get people who email us and be like, why were you questioning why this happens? Like, it's pretty important and obvious. And we have to be like, our podcast is spoiler free. So we take everything as if we don't know what's going on. And like, sometimes that can makes it funny. We had the thing earlier where I'm like, I think these two characters are the traitors. And Lucy's like, well, XYZ spoilers. I'm like, okay, but even if I didn't know that, I would still think that right now. So I'm going to say it. Oh, hi, Ida. Am I yelling too much? So that was super fun. We also approach it as like professional grown-up writers, and we're looking at it a little bit more mechanically, like what works, what doesn't, and like what we can learn in like as storytellers from this like beloved childhood series. And if those are like not my vibe, do you have anything that's not about like children's books? I got you, babes. You should go listen to The Bad Moon's Orbit. It's where my good buddy Dalton tells me all about Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Not even 40K. Wow. Okay.
No, we are not a 40K podcast, which is something we say a lot on our show. I need you to understand. This is not a 40K podcast. We don't tolerate that no women in Space Marine shit over there.
I could have sworn there were women in 40K, but okay.
There are women. They're just not allowed to be Space Marines.
That's dumb. I know basically nothing about Warhammer.
I know nothing. It is my job not to learn anything about Warhammer unless Dalton tells it to me while we're recording. It's super fun. That's one of my favorite ones to record. I come in with no prep work. I do no editing. I just sit here and be excited about things. So if you like that kind of energy, that one's Bad Moon's Orbit. I'm sure all of those that I just mentioned will be in the show notes of this episode. They're all on your favorite podcatching apps. They're all on Instagram. Check it out. See what you like. Say hi. Tell me how you would have paired up. Oh, thank you, Charlie. You're super cool. Tell us how you would have paired up the Addamses and the Mystery Inc. game. Would they have split up?
There we go. That is going to be our question for this episode that we can put out on Spotify for people to listen who use that. Otherwise, y'all are free to send us an email about it. They don't?
No. I used to use it.
That's stupid.
I used it for the Eragon podcast. We have a takeaway, what I used to call our homework. And I was like, it's called your take home assignment now. Because I didn't like calling it the homework. But we give like a question for people to like feedback and think about. And Spotify doesn't do the question prompt anymore. It's just, what did you think of this episode? Leave a comment.
Yeah.
Well, in that case,
we can just post it.
You just make a cute little graphic on Canva. That's what we do.
Charlie does that very well.
Nice.
Well, either do that on our socials, or you can always send us an email at mysteriesofthemachinepod@gmail.com. Please let us know your thoughts.
You could shoot him a text. Charlie, what's your phone number?
We are not doxing anybody here. That is against the rules.
Wow.
Sorry, when you said, send it, shoot us an email, my brain did go, or send us a text, which is crazy and not a thing I do on any of my shows, but my brain just like did that. And I was like, say it out loud. It'll be funny.
The intrusive thoughts won, and I love that they did.
Okay, I think, this should be your longest episode yet. Excellent. Release me from this episode so I can go to bed.
Absolutely. Will do. We're gonna go split up and look for clues for our next mystery, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can follow this podcast's socials at Mysteries in the Machine Pod on Instagram. You can send a message to our email, mysteriesinthemachinepod@gmail.com. Be sure to give us a rating, a review, or let your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws.
You can find me, Ethan, on Instagram and Threads at ethan.t.hewlin. Our music was written and produced by Jason Hilton. You can find him at Negative Selections on Instagram.
Oh my goodness, there's a cat.
Orzo?
Come on in.
Yeah, Darien, if this were literally any other weekend, I would have my dog with me. But
what's your dog's name?
Bella,
yeah.
Bella. She's a
Bella.
lab mix. She's beautiful.
There's a Great Dane who lives across the street. Her name is Bella, too. Bella and her buddy is a Rottweiler named Brutus.
Amazing.
They love my brother's Palm Yorkie, Cash. If they can get out when we're on a walk, they run up and say hi. And he used to be really scared of him, but now he's super happy to see him because they're friends.
Cute.
Aww.